Okay, would you rather have a big nose and be snotty all the time and have telepathy, or crazy strong knees?
Um, yeah, definitely a big nose.
Makes sense. You already have a big nose.
Hey, I do not have that big a nose. My name's Casey.
I'm Danny. Nice to see you.
We studied literature together in university, and although we're not, at least yet, planning on returning to academia, we want to continue learning and engaging with books, history, and stories.
So, whether you're an adult wanting to explore the world of literature, a student struggling through your coursework, or just bored, we hope you will join us on this journey.
But first, some background information on Rushdie. He was born in Bombay, which is now Mumbai, just a few months before Indian independence in June 1947. He's a British Indian author, and a controversial one at that. He's known for historical magical realism and his controversial criticisms of Islam, especially in his 1988 novel, The Satanic Verses. In fact, the former supreme leader of Iran, Ruhollah Khomeini, put a fatwa, or a death sentence, on him, calling for his murder. In 2022, Rushdie was assaulted and stabbed by a 24-year-old. The would-be assassin is serving a 25-year prison sentence, and although Rushdie has recovered, he was left permanently blind in one eye. Being born in India and having studied in Britain, Rushdie now lives in New York City.
Whoa, you're making me want to read more Rushdie. But for today, we'll be focusing on Midnight's Children, published in 1981. It won the Booker in that year and the Booker of Bookers in 1993, which I think was well-deserved because this is a novel. Midnight's Children centers on the midnight of August 15th, 1947, the end of British Raj in India. The main character, Salim Sinai, is born at the same time as two countries, India and Pakistan, at the stroke of midnight. The Indian independence movement infamously came about through non-violent demonstrations primarily led by Mahatma Gandhi, though this isn't the full story, and Indian independence was not all daisies and roses. Post-colonial India was a vacuum, unrecognizable from the collection of princely states it was before occupation, first by the Mughals and later by the British. This vacuum led to a series of conversations and different ideas and different leaders that all came about around the same time, such as Gandhi, Nehru, Chandra Bose, all who feature as side characters in this novel. Salim's story, the story of the Midnight's Children, mirrors the story of India and Pakistan.
And that story goes as follows, but be aware, there are some spoilers ahead. Salim, who narrates the novel, begins his story long before his birth with his grandpa, Adam Aziz, in 1915. Now, Aziz has studied to become a doctor in Germany, but is ostracized for his Western education when he returns to his birthplace in Kashmir. Aziz is plagued by the optimism disease, which we'll come back to a bit later. We also meet two other characters in Kashmir who give context to the story. First, an old fisherman who tells a young Adam Aziz fantastical stories full of magic. And second, Salim's grandmother, the favorite daughter of a religious household who has lived her entire life out of the sight of men.
Quick little footnote on Kashmir. It is a disputed region to the north of India between the Great Himalayas and the Pir Panjal Range. During partition, or the splitting of India and Pakistan, this region was hastily divided and is the center of controversy and strife between the two nations to this day for its location and resources. Kashmir is predominantly Muslim, though it was ruled by the Hindu Maharajas of Gulab Singh's Dongra dynasty during partition, and thus featured on the original maps as Indian territory. And these continuing territorial conflicts just show the haphazardness of the British exodus from India. But anyways, back to you, Case.
Anyways, sorry, the sweater had to go. It was getting a bit hot in here. But back to Salim. Our protagonist is born exactly on the stroke of midnight and taken home by Ahmed Sinai and Amina Sinai, though those parents are not his true parents, because on the same stroke of midnight, in the very same place, there was another baby, Shiva, the biological son of Ahmed and Amina, whose fate is swapped with Salim by the discontented midwife, Mary Pereira, and who is raised in poverty by his supposed father, a poor singer named Wee Willie Winkie. Vanita, Salim's biological mother, perishes in childbirth. Here, Rushdie borrows from nonfiction, where Prime Minister Nehru, a real person, features as a character. Nehru sends a letter to Salim on the day of his birth, proclaiming, "The nation will be watching his life with close attention, and that Salim's life will be a mirror of our own." This letter symbolizes the profound connection between Salim's personal destiny and the fate of the newly independent India, a theme that reoccurs throughout the novel.
Salim later discovers that there are actually 1001 other Midnight's children, but at the time he is 10, this number has reduced by 420 to 581. All of these numbers are significant, but particularly 1001, as it is referenced to 1001 nights. A book and a myth, often known as Arabian Nights, in which heroine Scheherazade delays her execution by telling the king 1001 stories until he falls in love with her. This novel follows through Salim's life, through blessings and hardships, all the way to the emergency, when in 1975 to 1977, Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, and this is true, this happened historically, imposed martial law on India, during which many civil liberties were suspended and millions of people were forcibly sterilized. It is during this time that Shiva and Salim, long-lost brothers, meet in the flesh. Though the story of the Midnight's children is a tragic one, as predicted by Sumitra, the one who can tell the future, and the one who told them all along that, this was entirely pointless and that things were going to go bad anyways, and the Midnight's children will only be meaningful when they are destroyed after their story has been told. But Salim, though not the biological grandson of Adam Aziz, inherits his optimism disease. Optimism is not the state of being relentlessly happy. Rather, it is the conviction that there is a purpose, there is meaning, there's order, there's justice, fundamentally. And Salim's life is seeking that purpose, seeking that meaning. And as much as his story and his life shows him otherwise, Salim cannot let go of this conviction. It's quite a story. So much to unpack here. What stood out to you, Casey?
Well, one of my favorite themes in this novel was definitely themes about food. And that's partially because I really like food, like a lot, but also because food is one of the most uniting and befuddling forces in the world, especially in India. Rushdie says it best. Things, even people, have a way of leaking into each other, like flavors when you cook. Now, Salim and Shiva are irreconcilably tied together, representing the real but arbitrary divide between Pakistan and India, between Hindu and Muslim. Both are Hindu and both are Muslim. Both have powers, Salim to build bridges, albeit telepathic ones, and Shiva to destroy them with his super strong knees. But just like food, and despite their many differences, by living in the same place, the two people, the two cultures, leak into each other, allowing the birth of new culture and new stories to be told. Now, this book is full of twists and turns and ties, not just between Hindus and Muslims. The colonial stain of the British is left on Salim just like it's left on India. It's revealed that Salim's biological father was not Wee Willie Winkie, but actually William Methold, a British merchant who, at the end of the British Raj, sells his Bombay estate to a variety of Indian families, including Salim's. Before Methold's departure, he introduces the family to happy hour, a custom that the families, understandably, continue in their shared garden after Methold leaves. Though Salim's father perhaps becomes a bit too fond of Methold's abandoned liquor cabinet. So, as you can see, there are many food references in this book. You should keep an eye out for them. But the most common, and the most important, is definitely pickles. By the end of the book, Salim reconnects with Mary Pereira, the nurse who switched the destinies of Salim and Shiva. And guess what? She's running a pickle factory. Wait. Do you guys hear that? Is it time for food for thought?
I am starving. So, what's the deal with pickles? Or should I say, achar? A favorite of every Indian family, commonly a way to preserve vegetables. Pickling is a centuries-old process, and it's available in pretty much every culture across the world. In India specifically, every family has their own personal methods, secrets and masalas, and also depending on the season and the type of pickles, the process is completely different. Many Indian kids will know the experience of bringing back their nani's achar in a vacuum-sealed, quadruple-taped, nuclear bomb-proof packaging, because sometimes the oils can leak out and spread altogether. But in the end, through some time and labor, it creates an absolutely delicious pairing with every single meal. It looks like this. I know Mr. Elephant wants some, but it's mine. And it's delicious, and khichdi is awesome. It's delicious.
Wow, I'm a bit jealous that you're getting to eat those delicious pickles right now, Danny. But in the book, pickles are more than just a delicious snack. Rather, the pickling process, the specific way in which each achar recipe is unique and allows foods that would go bad in a few days to last for years, is exactly what writing does to life. By the end of the novel, Salim is working alongside Mary Pereira at the pickle factory and striving to finish his narrative, which the reader has been reading. Whenever he finishes a chapter, Salim takes it and he puts it into a pickle jar, thus immortalizing the story and giving its magic to the future.
Okay, but I am dying to talk about religion in this novel. Hindus, Muslims, and Christians all feature as Rushdie's characters simultaneously. Religion is arbitrary but deeply important. Biologically, Salim is from a Hindu family, but he was raised Muslim. His mom goes to a Hindu priest to unpack the myth of his birth and her pregnancy. And today, religion is a deeply controversial topic, especially in India. Hostilities periodically arise between India and Pakistan, as well as within India between Hindu Indians and Muslim Indians. But India reflects in its culture, its food, its religious diversity, something that is completely unique. And these arbitrary sectional differences, close family ties, and subtly different achar recipes are more complex than can be simplified to giving value or giving strife. The point of the Midnight's Children and their magic isn't to solve the nation's problems or to fix the course of time, and most of them are too busy parsing through the daily challenges of their own lives, of growing up, of being human, like the need for belonging, parents' approval, love, and rejection. So, what is the point of the Midnight's Children, you might ask?
Well, that's a great question. I was drawn to this book foremost not by the history or literary accolades, but by the recommendation of a friend who knows that I love superheroes, as you can tell by the comic books behind me. How ought one grapple with stories so full of magic and the impossible, but yet also so intertwined with real history? What's the role of magic in stories? Or maybe, more importantly, what is the role of stories in magic?
While reading this book, I kept asking myself, and Casey, the question of why we should care about literatures and histories and stories that are not our own. And I'm of an Indian background, but why should someone not of an Indian background care about these stories, for example? And Are books meant to teach us something particular about history, about people, or are they meant to do more than that?
Well, Danny, maybe that is the role of Midnight's Children. But unfortunately, we're out of time for today. Thank you all for watching this first episode of Art is Books. We hope you enjoyed and are excited to dig into Midnight's Children, whether it be your first read or a reread, or even into one of Rushdie's other novels.
But mostly, we hope that you have caught the scent and you will follow your nose, large or small, to lots of delicious things and to lots of other magical stories out there. Join us sometime soon for our next episode, and until then.
This has been Art is Books.